So, if you were to try to learn a new skill for yourself or develop something within you, maybe you're trying to kick a bad habit or maybe you're trying to move on from something, the first big thing that we usually do is say, I have a problem, this is my problem, or this is an interesting skill, I want to learn this skill. And if you're anything like me, what you then do is you go on YouTube and you look up, oh, how am I going to learn Python? Python beginner's guide, full course. Or there's a part in my life when I was trying to learn how to draw. I was like, okay, drawing tutorials for beginners, drawing roadmap, dot, dot, dot. The point is, you have something you want to do and you need information on how to do it. So you seek out that information. So that's first step. Now, step number two is you consume all that information and they tell you, oh, do this, do that, do this, do that. And I think when it comes to all the information that you're going to consume, there's going to be a consensus that says you need to make a plan. You need to make a study plan, a routine plan, a plan that makes sure you do something every single day, or at least you do it very consistently, so that at the end of this plan, you're competent in what you're trying to learn. And once you see, and then from that point onwards, something interesting happens. And that interesting thing is now you have to think about what is the inner workings and what is the nitty gritty of actually trying to learn a skill and do it consistently. And one big piece of advice that I have heard a lot and I've been exposed to a lot online is that you shouldn't try to force perfect conditions to start something and wait for the perfect moment to start something, but you should just start. And the type of person that I am, whenever I hear things, I always try to break them down as much as possible, and it becomes a problem because someone just says it's as simple as it gets. I promise you, it's as simple as just finding a way to start and then finding a way to continue and then finding a way to continue. That's just as simple as it is. But for me, when I initially heard this advice, what happened was I was like, okay, what do we mean just start? Because I know that for me, whenever I try to learn something or attach to a new skill, there are barriers that I feel, and there are things that say, let's not do this today. What if we're not good at this? What if this? What if that? There are things that are preventing me or that would be preventing me from being very, very consistent. So then, as opposed to just starting, I want to really figure out within myself, okay, what are these barriers so that I know that I can counteract these barriers. And then once I deal with these and once I deal with those issues blocking me from learning this new skill, then I can properly start, and then I'll reduce the risk of me basically leaving the skill while I'm learning it halfway, as an example. And if you resonate with that in any way or in any shape or form, now listen to this version of me, who is a lot older than that version and who has learned a few skills since then, and who has worked on a few projects since then, and who has made it through a few trials and tribulations with regards to having a start point and getting to a finish line. It really does boil down and become as simple as just start whenever you can. And the problem I had with this advice as well, or the problem I sense with the advice right now, is that we really don't talk about the discomfort that it takes to start something at certain passages of time. And I'll be so honest, there are some skills that you have an ideal first day of doing. Maybe if you want to code for the first time, you have this idea, you're sitting at your desk, you have no other responsibilities or worries, you have a day fully booked, maybe you finished all of your tasks and you have free time, and then you open up your computer, you have every single program and tool that you need to start coding, and then you just start, you print hello world. But you might find that the reality of most of your days is you're very busy and you only have an hour or 30 minutes of free time at a time. And it gets very uncomfortable to tell yourself, well, let me just start trying to code within this hour or 30 minutes. Because a lot of thoughts will flow in to be like, oh, maybe I might not learn as much as I need to, and this and that. And these things kind of dissuade us from trying to start a new habit or trying to start to learn the new skill. But the reality that I realized is, despite these things, in fact, in moments like that and in situations and circumstances like that, those are really good times to start because they build a very important baseline for this new skill that you're learning. And the baseline says that even in days of discomfort and even in days where nothing has gone my way, I can still show up to do this. And what I found was a lot of days are like that. There are a lot of days for me where I don't get the perfect circumstances to start doing something. I don't get the ideal situation or ideal tools to do something, or the ideal headspace to finally start programming or to finally do a few of my tasks like writing a book or studying. And if a lot of days are like this, then I think the best thing to do is just try to simplify it as much as possible and just get started. Now, again, I've spoken for 6 minutes, and a theme that I have in my head is that I understand that it's not so easy to just start, and it's not easy for a reason. And now that I spent 6 minutes talking about this, my head is exploding, and it's a eureka moment to saying there's no real easy way to sugarcoat it, ironically enough, right? If something is hard to do and start, it's going to be hard to do and start. You don't have to get things right first try. That's not really something that we should always expect of ourselves. Life is very difficult. Learning something new is very difficult because it's new and you don't know the baseline things, you don't know the foundations that make you as good as someone you see on the internet. It's not easy at all. You can even take me and this YouTube channel, for example. It's not easy. It's not as easy as it is for me to speak now as it was when I made my first video on this channel, or my first ever YouTube video. It was very hard for me to make that video. But if I had the challenge to make that video all over again, I could probably finish it in 30 minutes. But the first time I did it, it took me an entire day. But that's because I am adequate at the skill, whatever adequate means. And I think that's something that we need to remember. Aside from this idea of looking for the perfect environment and perfect circumstance about when to start doing something and when to start working towards goals or when to show up, you just gotta show up. It's never going to be easy, or I don't want to say never going to be easy, because there are some days when you can be really passionate and feel very motivated to do something and it feels easy to do it and you're just flowing. I'd rather say that I feel like there's a lot more uncomfortable and awkward days to do something than there are comfortable days to do it. An example is me trying to do the habit right now. To make videos for this, I'm supposed to be doing voiceovers every single day, but I haven't. Last time I touched my phone to do one of these voiceovers was 2 weeks ago, and throughout those 2 weeks I got very annoyed at myself because I was like, I'm not making voiceovers. I'm getting behind on the content plan. And that would have demotivated a younger version of me and would have prevented me from trying to make these voiceovers, because I would have been like, oh, what's the point of even trying to make the voiceover? But I still woke up today. I did a lot of unproductive things until like 4 p.m. And today I was like, now is a good time for me to just get back into Python. I would have preferred doing it in the morning, but I can start now. And then I start now. And then I'm like, now seems like a decent time to start my voiceover track again. Will I be inconsistent about it again as this week goes by and spend another 5 days not recording a voiceover? Probably, but also probably not. You never know. But one thing that I do know is that I can do something today. I can show up right now. And it does feel a bit uncomfortable to start, but once I start, I get into a flow. So I'm just going to start despite it being uncomfortable. So I had to walk outside because someone is in the kitchen and I had to make sure that you guys are not going to hear that. You might hear crickets and things. Don't be alarmed. If you don't, that's actually perfect. But I'm going to end the video here. I'm going to end this journal entry here. And once more, I hope you did find value in this. I promise I'm going to try to get better at actually structuring my thoughts in these videos. But until that happens, I hope to see you in the next one.